comments. Okay, so begin our session with the prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So welcome all of you again for the Friday evening Bhagavad Gita session. So today we will be discussing from 3 more verses of 17th chapter. 17th chapter is titled Divisions of Faith. And we have covered until now 4 verses. And today we'll be covering verses 5 to 7. So all these discussions we are having because of the wonderful grace of Srila Prabhupada, who has so mercifully given us all these teachings in a very simple way, an easily understandable way for all of us, so that we can read them, try to follow them in a very simple way in our lives. So before we proceed, let us have a short recap of what we have understood so far in this chapter. So this chapter is called the Divisions of Faith. Basically, Krishna is going to explain to us how there are so many different types of people with different belief systems in this world. It may be with regard to worship, it may be with regard to food habits, or some rituals, or some austerities, right? Or some aspects of say sacrifices. So like this, we see so many varieties of people, varieties of things happening around us. So Arjuna's question in the beginning of this chapter was about same aspect of why there are so many different types of worships. If people are not following scriptures and they have faith in some type of a ritual or a worship or some type of a system which they are doing on their own, what is the destination of them? That was the question. For which Lord Krishna mentioned that, first of all of us are under the modes of nature. And based on the type of modes one is influenced, the faith with which somebody following something can be of 3 kinds. One can be in the mode of goodness, or one can be in the mode of passion or ignorance. So having said this, Krishna said, further he said that he was explaining about the modes of worship actually in the previous verse. Krishna said, men in the mode of goodness, Yajante Satvika Devan. Devan means demigods. Those who are in the mode of goodness worship Devatas. And those who are in the mode of passion, Rajoguna, they worship demons. And those in the mode of Tamasa Jana, they worship Pretan Bhuta Ganams Chani. They worship ghosts and spirits. Now, Krishna is going to mention in verses which we're going to discuss now about the different types of people who undergo different austerities and penances, tapasya. Right? Sometimes we see so many things people are doing. Some political hunger people do, or some sort of a rituals people follow. What is that? Some austerities. If they walk on some hot cinders, koila, burning hot coal, they walk. Right? They pierce their body with some, needles. Like that, so many things we see. What are these austerities and penances? Krishna explains. So I request all of you to have your copy of Gita in front of you. As I read, you also please keep referring. So this is verse number 5 and 6 of 17th chapter. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapo janaha dambahankara samyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha karshayantah sharirastham bhutagramam achetasaha mam chaivanta sharirastham tan vidhi asura nishchayan. Translation: those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish, and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. So, very important words Krishna is using in this verse. Prabhupada explains in the purport in detail. Basically, Krishna is telling the austerities and penances also should be recommended in the scriptures. They are all recommended. In fact, they are all nice recommendations are there. One simple austerity which all of us are supposed to follow as practitioners of Krishna consciousness is following Ekadashi. Right? Ekadashi falls every 15 days once. The 11th day, either it is the waxing moon or the waning moon, Krishna Paksha or Shukla Paksha. So either of these 15 days once, we are supposed to do fasting. So this fasting is of different levels. People are recommended to do at least fasting from grains. Prabhupada says the main purpose of Ekadashi is to minimize your eating and spend most of your time in remembering Krishna or doing some service to Krishna, reading, chanting, or some practical service to Krishna. That is the purpose. That is the whole aspect of Ekadashi. Ekadashi means, Prabhupada says, more remembrance of Krishna should happen. So this is the main purpose. So why do we do this tapasya, or austerity, or penance? Just like Prabhupada says, the fasting from grains like rice, dal, wheat, and some vegetables, some spices like mustard, we don't consume on this day. Why? Because these grains, it is said in the scriptures that Kali Purusha enters in those grains. Kali Purusha means the personified sin. So when personified sin is entering into these grains, eating the grains on that day will contaminate you. There's a nice pastime from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. When he was a very small boy, he insisted that his mother follow Ekadashi. His mother was not following Ekadashi. So he advised why Ekadashi is so important. So in that way, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, it is very important that we voluntarily accept this sort of a inconvenience, because every day we are accustomed to eat one type of a food, our regular meals. But on that day, we don't have the food, regular food, but we minimize the quantities, and we also try to see that we remember Krishna more. What is the purpose? Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says, when such austerities like Ekadashi or rising early in the morning, Prabhupada says you have to get up, before Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta means 1.5 hours before sunrise. These are all austerities recommended for us to do. Why these austerities are recommended? Because if you do this, these austerities will enrich you in spiritual knowledge. These are recommended austerities. There are austerities like during Janmashtami or festival days like this, we have to fast. Whatever time prescription is there, we have to fast. Just like we have some appearance day, disappearance day of some acharyas. prominent acharyas which Prabhupada had recommended us. On those days, we fast for half a day. So these are all going to help us in advancement of our spiritual knowledge. So what happens when you are fasting? You are constantly remembering, why am I fasting? Whom I am fasting? I'm not fasting for some agenda, with some agenda or for some political purpose. I am fasting for Lord Krishna or fasting for pure devotee of Krishna. So this itself will advance you in spiritual life. That is the point. So this aspect Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita elsewhere. So I want to bring this point. So with regard to penance and austerity, called tapasya, this tapasya, if it is not recommended in the scripture, simply out of pride, ahankara, egoism, as Krishna says, dambha ahankara samyukta, simply just to want to make a show off, or out of lust and attachment you're doing this, then it is actually very, very demoniac type of a performance Krishna is telling. Okay, so we should avoid any self-manufactured austerities, penances. Sometimes we hear when we go to some of our donors' houses, they say, "Aaj Mangalwar hai, hum upvas karte hain. Aaj Shaniwar hai, hum upvas karte hain." I said, we have so many days of upvas, where it is recommended. No, it's been a tradition in our house. So we have been fasting. There's a nice story. I want to mention this here. It so happened that once there was a marriage going on. So in that marriage, somehow they found that one cat was very mischievous. It was running here and there, here and there, here and there. So the bride's mother thought that this cat is disturbing everybody. Let me, she found one basket and she put that cat under the basket and saw that the cat is not here and there running. So the daughter, the bride, saw, oh, my mother is catching a cat like this next to me, and she has kept like this, maybe it is a tradition. So she saw like that, and okay. When after she grew up, she gave birth to children, and her children marriage was happening. For every child marriage, she used to do this. One cat was kept under the basket like that. So it became a tradition in their family. So like this, traditions, we don't know how it begins. Some tradition somewhere, fasting, we have to eat this only, we have to eat that only. We don't follow anything unless it is recommended in scriptures or recommended by acharyas. That is the main thing. Simply self-manufactured or concocted ways of fasting is not fasting. That's what Krishna is trying to tell here. Because sometimes he will make a show. We are doing upvas, we are doing that, we are doing so much austerity, we are doing that, we are doing this. For what? Sometimes people want to make a show. Want to, want to tell everybody, say, I'm so austere, I'm that, I'm this. But inside heart, all the impurities are there as such. That is not proper way of devotion. So let us see what Prabhupada wants to tell us in the purport. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penances which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions. I just now mentioned about this. How people manufacture so many things. Or at least in India, we see every village, every nook and corner, people have their own rituals, own modes of austerity, penance, like that. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, such as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural directions. Many times politicians want to achieve some motive. They have some agenda. So with that purpose, they start doing fasting, and for sometimes fasting goes on for days together. Such fasting, they are not mentioned in scriptures, just to force other person or just to see that the government obliges for whatever demands they have. Sometimes these things happen. Even sometimes the workers in a factory, or many times we see these agitations or this, fasting or these hunger strikes go on many places. The classic example how the politicians do this fasting. The scriptures recommend fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. They'll all be doing showing off that they're doing fasting here, but they'll all be going in turns and having nicely feasting and coming out and sitting in front there. Right? All that is what is going to happen. Fasting to show, but feasting behind the curtains. So what is the meaning of this fasting? So like this, people have their own agenda to do all these things. So such things, Krishna says they are not not recommended actually. Persons who take to such austerities, according to Bhagavad Gita, are certainly demoniac. Demoniac means they don't have any scriptural directions. They just want to do whatever they want. Their acts are against the scriptural injunction and are not beneficial for the people in general. Actually, it's going to create a lot of disturbance to everybody. When somebody does some austerity for their own purpose, for their own agenda, which is not recommended in scripture, is going to disturb everybody. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust, and attachment for material enjoyment. Their whole intention is to gain some fame, name, adoration. They want to satisfy their personal agenda. That is the whole purpose. They have some hidden agenda behind every aspect of austerity they're doing. So what happens? Krishna says, by such activities, not only are the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also a supreme personality of God himself living within the body. Very wonderful, aspect Prabhupada is sharing here. See, first of all, this body is not yours. This body is given by Krishna through the agency of material nature. And this body is not yours. And how can you torture this body? That is the point. So, this body, which is made up of combination of different panchabhuta and the mind, intelligence, ego, they are not manufactured by you. They are given to you for your usage based on your desires. So how can you misuse it? So in one sense, you are torturing the body. The elements are being completely disturbed. And also the super soul has a purpose, a plan for your body, and you are totally going against the plans. That is the point which Krishna is telling us here. Krishna is telling you, they torture their bodily organs as well as super soul dwelling within. Just like recently in Delhi, NCR area, Noida area, the twin towers were demolished. You heard of them? Twin towers, because of some illegal purposes, the twin towers had a lot of problems. So the Supreme Court gave an order that it has to be demolished. And when demolition happened, it created a lot of pollution and sound problem. How much people who are all living nearby, how much problem they would be gone through when that happened, the tension which they'll be going through. Because of one promoter or one builder, everybody else are getting distracted. How much it was big disturbance it was. One is demolition, one more illegal construction. Like this, people out of their own lust, pride, false ego, they're trying to do so many things in the outside world. Similarly, in our own body, with regard to why this body is being given to us, what is the purpose of this body, all these things people don't realize and want to just go on with their with their life in a way they want in their own way. That is what Krishna says is not proper. Don't torture your body. This body is not yours. This body is for Krishna. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. This is a statement which is mentioned in the scriptures, that Krishna is the owner of this body. Owner of body, the senses, everything. It has to be used for his service. Then it is the right use of the body. Otherwise, we are misusing our body which Krishna has given us. Anybody can recognize the famous politician here?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Fine. our famous Didi. Okay. So unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. Right? So Prabhupada says they are not mentioned in Vedic scriptures, Vedic literature, they are simply disturbing everybody. Not only themselves, but everybody. Such unauthorized fasting for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They are not mentioned in the scriptures. A demoniac person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desire by this method. But sometimes one dies by such fasting. Right? What is the purpose of people doing such unauthorized austerities, penances? To comply with their demands, their desires. Many times we see, sometimes people die out of this fasting. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he says that those who engage in them are demons. There's a nice incident mentioned in the Bhagavatam. It's about one demon by name Vrikasura. He was the son of Shakuni. Okay. So he wanted to have some benediction from Lord Shiva, some vara. So he went to Kedarnath. Kedarnath is full of ice, snow always. And there he was performing severe austerities. And he was performing austerities. Lord Shiva didn't appear. This demon was becoming very impatient. Then what he did? Then he thought, let me offer my body, cut my body part by part and offer it to the fire of sacrifice. Then Shiva has to come. Started doing that, actually, practically. Started cutting his body, different parts, and offering it to Krishna, fire. Shiva is, Lord Shiva is known as Ashutosha, very merciful. He's immediately pleased by his, followers, different types of worship. So he appeared and he started telling, what are you doing? Don't do all such, things which is going to take away your life. Then he said, no, I wanted to please you. I wanted to get a benediction from you. Yes. So what do you want? So this Vrikasura told, I want to have a benediction wherein on whosever head I keep my hand, that head should break. Okay, such a dangerous, benediction. On whosever head I keep my hand, that head should break. So Shiva didn't think about what is the consequence of it, but he knew something not proper. But even then, because he's asking, Tathasto, he gave benediction. So this demon thought, first I will kill Shiva only. Because I can take away Parvati. I can marry Parvati. I'll take away, I'll kill Shiva. So he started, wanted to experiment this on Shiva only. Started keeping his hand on Lord Shiva's head. Shiva became very afraid. He started running. Here, there, he started running. Everywhere is running, but this demon is following continuously. And now he got a benediction. Just see. This is the type of demonic mentality people have. They do austerity for some benediction. Once they get benediction, they want to finish that person who gave benediction. Prabhupada says this is called Guru Mara Vidya. Guru se sikha, Guru ko mar diya. Baad mein. So this is what demons do. So like this, finally, somehow now Lord Narayan came to his help, and Narayan came as a small boy. And then he started, speaking to this demon. Oh, I know your father, Shakuni, he's my close friend. What are you doing? Why are you running like this? The Shiva is actually, a little mental. He doesn't know his wife, recently got, Daksha Yagna, she sacrificed her body. So he's not in a proper mental state. What benediction is given, I don't know whether it's going to work or not. Why don't you test on yourself? So like that, this very nicely, sweetly spoke. Narayana, how his Maya energy worked on this Shakuni's son, Prakasura. So okay, maybe what you're telling is correct. Let me test myself. He kept his head and hand on his head, and his head broke. This is a story. It's all mentioned in Bhagavatam. So just to give you a understanding of what is the demoniac mentality, right? So this demons means They always want to cause trouble to others. They are very much having their personal agenda. They want to satisfy their lust. They want to just have a enjoyment for themselves. That is demonic mentality, right? That's what Prabhupada is telling here. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Lord, and Lord says that those who engage in them are demons. Such demonstrations are insults to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are enacted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions. So all these such actions, what these people do, are in one sense insults. Krishna has established a system, what to do, what not to do. But these demons don't follow that. They're completely violating. They're breaking the rules, laws. It's an insult to the Lord because they are disobeying scriptural rules. Here one word is used known as achetasaha. The word achetasaha is significant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunctions. Chetasaha means persons who are having some intelligence, normal mental condition. They should obey scriptural injunctions. But those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own ways of austerities and penance. Means people who are not intelligent, who are not in proper mental condition, they manufacture their own ways of austerities and penances, which are very, like we see, bizarre all over the world. Such things are happening. One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people as described in the previous chapter. What will happen to them? Krishna explained repeatedly they will be going down in the demoniac species life after life. The Lord forces them to take birth in the womb of demoniac persons again and again. Asurim yoni mapanna mudha janmani janmani, Krishna says in the previous chapter. Consequently, they will live by demoniac principles of life after life without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. So, once, Prabhupada, after he gave lecture in very early years, 1968, Prabhupada was in American city, one city, Boston, I think. So there, after giving lecture, Prabhupada, some of the people who were listening, youngsters, they asked a question. What will happen to these miscreants? Miscreants means Prabhupada is explaining about the miscreant, Dushkritanaha. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. There are 4 types of miscreants. Dushkritana don't surrender to Krishna. There are Naradhama. They are Mudha. That Prabhupada is explaining in the lecture. Then after that, somebody asked, what happens to them? So Prabhupada very nicely answered. He said, don't you see there are different varieties of species of life around us? What are they? Somebody in dog species, somebody in bird species, plant species. And even in human species, there are people who are suffering. They don't even have one morsel of food. They have different diseases. What is there? What is all these things? They are all different types of punishment, terms of imprisonment and terms of punishment which these living entities are going through because of their wrongdoings. Right? Sometimes people want to, give benefit everybody, help everybody. That is very limitedly you can do. You cannot do for everybody because everybody has to suffer their karma. Whatever it is. You can only help them spiritually. But materially, whatever help you want to do, it is only a patchwork. So Prabhupada is telling here, if they live because they lived their life by demoniac principles of life life after life. They don't know what is their relationship with Krishna. They have forgotten Krishna. Krishna bhuliya jiva. When you forget Krishna, you'll be suffering like this, life after life. That is the consequence. So, the very fact that just like a person who is violating the government rules, regulations, he becomes a criminal. He'll be arrested by the police. He'll be put behind bars. He'll be punished in that way. Likewise, the way Krishna functions in the material world with regard to people who are disobedient to him. In fact, even we are also disobedient. At least human form of life, we can understand all these things. Prabhupada said in the answer to the question, you should understand all these things with proper, deliberation. Understand why there are so many species of life around us. Not that you are, oh, very cute dog, a very nice puppy, that, this and all. You're trying to love that animals, all these things. Fine, to some level, your love for animals is okay. But you have to understand every species of life is all because of they're all going through different terms of imprisonment. Human form of life is the only platform wherein you can understand all these things. In other platforms, you cannot understand these things. It's impossible. That's why the distinction is there between humans and animals, other species of life. This opportunity is there only in the humans. Right? This aspect of why am I suffering? Why I'm forced through this cycle of birth and death, and this understanding why there are different things happening around me. The classic example Prabhupada gives is of that goat. Goat, which is about to be slaughtered, it is given nicely green grass. And the green grass is munching nicely. Oh, very nice. Today I got a feast. So I'm eating nicely green grass, fresh food. So that way it's very happy. Next moment it will be slaughtered. Whereas similarly, Prabhupada says, if a human being is tied like this and is given nice pizzas, burgers, oh, next moment I'm going to cut your head. He'll not even able to see the pizza and burger. He'll be crying. Right? So that is the point. He'll try to see how he can escape. Whereas the animal's consciousness is such that it can't even understand what is going to happen to me next moment. That is the difference. So this is the main aspect which Prabhupada want to tell us. If you don't realize this aspect and don't understand this aspect and don't live the life as a human being, then your life will be degraded to demoniac form of life. Demonic species, Prabhupada said in the previous chapter, will degrade to animal life forms. Right? That is the punishment. Animal life form, again to come to human form, it will take so many millions of species of lives you have to go through. How much risk we are going to take? You have been given a better opportunity. Misusing that again will be degrading ourselves. Right? So Prabhupada concludes this purport by telling, if however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme goal. Right? So, we are all fortunate in one sense that we have got Prabhupada's directions, orders. We have come in touch with his movement, his devotees. So we have to tightly catch hold of this opportunity and take proper guidance, nice guidance from whatever facilities are available, and move forward in our path of going back to spiritual world. Otherwise, coming out of this entanglement of the material world is not easy. It's very difficult. Right? Somehow Prabhupada's movement and his devotees are all very, very merciful. That way, we have to, very seriously follow the instructions which Prabhupada has given and move forward. Otherwise, in this world, there's so many things people are doing. People are blindly following so many things. They don't know what they're doing. Worshipping that, doing this austerity, this penance they're doing. People say you go to this, particular place, you do this puja, this havan. So many recommendations. You go to this astrologer, he will tell that you put this ring, that color necklace, that you do fasting, so that bhasma you eat. So many things, 101 things. All confusion, big confusion. People want to follow something, but they are misguided. That is what Kali Yuga is. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadritaha. They are misguided, and we are very unfortunate that we are having such situations of so many so-called gurus, so-called yogis, so-called spiritual organizations which are misleading everybody. Unfortunately. Okay. So now Krishna is going to explain further more many aspects like this. So far Krishna has explained about the different types of worship in three modes, and the austerities and penances in three modes, tapasya in three modes. Now further, Krishna is going to explain more aspects which he explains in this next verse. So verse number 7, 17th chapter. Aharastva api sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yajna tapa tatha danam tesham bhedam imam shunu. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now, here are the distinctions between them. So now Krishna is going to speak more on four more topics. Specifically, he's going to speak on the different types of food in three modes. How people have different types of eating habits they have. Somebody, just like when you go to a restaurant, we have a veg, non-veg, that variety, Chinese, Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like only so many things are there. We don't know what all types of food have come now. Some continental, some cocktail, all whatever you want to name, you can name them. You'll have a big list of food habits. So like this, why people prefer so many types of food? What is the reason? Again, people are influenced by three modes. So when they're influenced by three modes, they'll have three types of different categories of food habits. And Krishna further he explains about yajna, sacrifices, the different types of sacrifices people do, with what mood and what intention they do, all these things. And further, some more about tapasya. Again, Krishna is going to explain. And Krishna also is going to explain about dana, specifically about charity. Sometimes people think, oh, somebody in the railway station coming begging for me, what I should do? Should I give money or no? Right? And sometimes you're standing in the traffic signal, somebody comes with a child, what I should do? Right? All these questions will be answered. Okay? Eventually in this chapter, all these questions will be answered. What we should do? Somebody will come with a receipt book. Sir, we are having a blood donation camp. Please donate 100 rupees. What you will do? You will give them or no? It's a question, right? All these things will be answered towards in this chapter very nicely. Okay. Now, what does Prabhupada say? The purport. Prabhupada says, in terms of different situations and the modes of material nature, there are differences in the manner of eating, performing sacrifices, austerities, and charities. So again, the modes of nature are always influencing us. So there are different manners of eating, performing sacrifices, tapasya and all the dhanam, everything. They are not all conducted on the same level. Every person's food type is not same as other person's food type, right? Every person's way of doing dhanam is not same as other person's dana. Those who can understand analytically what kind of performances are in what modes of material nature are actually wise. That's what Krishna is trying to tell us here. That if you can understand what is what actually in its true situation, then you become intelligent, wise person. Otherwise, you will be foolish. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or foods or charity to be the same cannot discriminate, and they are foolish. It's like there are some spiritual organizations, they say, whatever you do is okay. Yato mat tato pat. Okay. Whatever you follow, whatever you do, finally you'll go to Supreme. That is wrong. Nowhere Krishna says that. Krishna is very clearly telling there are specific things you do. There's a statement in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, if you worship Devatas, you'll go to Devata Loka. If you worship Bhuta, Pretas, you'll go to Bhuta Loka, Preta Loka. If you worship me, Krishna says, you'll come to me. So very specific things are there. So we have to understand what are the various, details. That's what our human life is meant for, because human life is having this Viveka Shakti. Viveka Shakti means power of discrimination. Our intelligence has one faculty known as Vivechana or Viveka Shakti, which means you can discriminate what is correct, what is wrong, what to be done, what not to be done. This much discriminatory power we have, whereas animals don't have this discriminatory power. Fine discriminatory power. Maybe grossly they're having some discrimination. Whereas fine discriminatory power only humans have. That's why Krishna says in last chapter, Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janaya vidurasuraha. Asura jana, demons don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. What is correct, what is wrong, they don't know. What is clean, what is unclean, they don't know. That is the problem. Whereas as humans, we are bestowed this wonderful faculty of having this discrimination. The most important discrimination we should have always in our consciousness, in our understanding is, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. This is the basis of whole Bhagavad Gita's teaching. I am not this robot body, yantra, what is moving. I am spirit within this body. Whatever effects I am seeing outside is all simply the effects of these modes of nature around us. The reality is Krishna's service. So like this, there are so many aspects which Krishna is going to explain further in this chapter and later chapter, 18th chapter. We have to understand all these things. Okay. So we have to, Krishna explained also in the 15th chapter also. Should not be foolish. We should be intelligent enough. Right? We should have Jnana Chakshu. 13th chapter also explained, 15th chapter also explained. Our vision should be loaded with knowledge. Our vision should not be simply seeing very like how other animals see. You should see with knowledge. Just like when a devotee is seeing other living entities, he's seeing everybody as spirit soul. He's not seeing them as different bodies. Yes, they are seeing they are embodied actually in different bodies because of their own doing karmas. They're all going through the terms of imprisonment. Right? That is the understanding. So our vision has to improve day by day as we are moving forward in Krishna consciousness. Not that we are same person. That's the whole meaning of Krishna consciousness means your consciousness with regard to perceiving things around you. Your consciousness with regard to your paradigm about things around you has to change. That is the whole exercise which we have to do internally. Otherwise, days will go, months will go, years will go. You will be, same person. Right? Bhagavad Gita will be as it is. You will be as it is, as you are. What is the difference? Is Bhagavad Gita as it is have to go into your consciousness so that you will change what you are now to become what Bhagavad Gita is telling you. That is a type of transformation in consciousness which has to happen. If this transformation is not your goal, then you are reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting Hare Krishna, then it is only simply ritual. Some good activity, good punya you are doing, very good. Next life definitely will get human form, don't worry. Where we don't know. That is what is going to happen. So we have to have a transformation in consciousness, very important. The transformation of consciousness will happen from you. Right? Because you're chanting Hare Krishna every day should, that energy of the chanting Hare Krishna, spiritual energy, Divya Shakti from Hare Krishna should go and awaken your real intelligence. That Divya Shakti should give you, because Krishna's chanting has that spiritual potency of Sachidananda energies. The Sachidananda energies have to go and awaken your real knowledge, real spiritual understanding within you. That I am spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna. Your understanding about your various things, what you are going through in your life, should all be seen from the Bhagavad Gita's perspective, Bhagavatam perspective. Right? We have to be a different person day after day. We cannot be the same person. We have to change our, change our perception, because we have to go on refining the way Krishna is telling. That way we have to see things. Right? That's why Krishna is telling, don't remain foolish. Foolish means you can't see things as they are. That is the very first statement Krishna said to Arjuna. Arjuna, you are speaking like a learned man, but you are a fool number one. Because you don't know what is the difference between a living person and a dead person. Right? This is the first statement Krishna made in second chapter, 11th verse. Asochya nanvashochastvam pragyavadamsha bhashase. People speak as though they are big scholars, big pandits. I have done MA, PhD, this, everything, different degrees from different countries. But you are fool number one. What is the use? So that is the point. Prabhupada says, don't remain full. Understand your spirit soul behind. The spirit behind this whole body working, spirit soul is there. Right? Today, I was listening to one of the prayers of one of our nice devotees in Bhagavatam. It is nicely said, how nicely that devotee is telling. Jambavan is offering praise to Lord Krishna. You heard of this story of Semantaka jewel? Very nice story in Bhagavatam. So Semantaka jewel was somehow missing from the owner of the Semantaka jewel, one person by name Satrajit. So he put a blame on Krishna that you have stolen. So Krishna wanted to come out of that blame. So he went searching for that jewel. And finally he entered a cave, because outside the cave there was a dead body of that person, Satrajit's brother, who was killed there. And he guessed that maybe this brother had taken this. And beside that brother's body, there was a dead body of a lion. So Krishna guessed mostly the jewel would have been taken by somebody who has entered the cave. So Krishna was with his all, Dwarka Nivasis. He told, all of you wait for some time. I'll go inside and see whether this jewel is there or not. So Krishna entered alone, because it was a very deep cave, Jambavan Gufa. If you go to Gujarat Yatra, sometimes you see you can see this Jambavan cave. Okay, so there, Jambavan thought, who is this person who has come inside my cave? How dare he is? So Jambavan from Treta Yuga is still living. And he was the most powerful person on earth at that time. And as soon as Krishna entered, immediately he thought somebody has entered my place. And Krishna saw that Jambavan's small son was playing with the jewel, Chamantaka jewel. So when Krishna about to take, then the caretaker started shouting, that lady started shouting, oh, somebody has come. So Jambavan came rushing and started fighting with Krishna, and they had severe fighting. Gada Yuddha, then with the trees they were fighting, then fist fighting, wrestling, continuously for 27 days they were fighting. Finally, Jambavan understood, oh, this person is so powerful, I cannot defeat him. Then he realized he is the same, my Lord Ramachandra, who has come as Lord Krishna now. He realized. At that time, he offers prayers, nice prayers he offers. He says, Lord, you are the strength behind the strong. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Balam balavatam chaham, buddhir buddhimatam aham. I am the intelligence behind the intelligent, strength behind the strong. Prabhupada explains how the scientists may say, I have discovered this, I have discovered that. But the intelligence to discover that, who gave? Krishna only has given. And the ingredients to discover that, who has given? Krishna only has manufactured. So Krishna is the creator of the ingredients and the intelligence. Very nicely explains, Jambavan offers his prayers. Prabhupada explains like this. So why I'm telling all these things is, by going through all these wonderful descriptions in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, you will become intelligent. Intelligence means to see things in the proper perspective. Right? Prabhupada explains very nicely in 10th chapter. Krishna says, there are 20 qualities which all come from me, Krishna says. I am the source of all of them. First thing he says is buddhi, intelligence. So Prabhupada explains, what does intelligence mean? Intelligence refers to the power of analyzing things in proper perspective. What is the fact? What is the reality? You have to understand, analyze, and move forward. Not simply blindly seeing things, not understanding anything. Oh, okay, we don't know what it is. That is not intelligence. Intelligence means, I want to know what it is. What is the truth? What is the fact? Why I am dying? Why I am growing old? I don't want to die. That is intelligence. Human life is meant for that purpose. If you are blind or if you don't want to know, then you are like animal. No difference between you and animal. That's what Prabhupada says. We should not remain foolish. We should be intelligent. I see every statement Prabhupada makes in purport has immense depth in the meaning. Okay. Prabhupada very nicely says, those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or foods or charity to be the same and cannot discriminate, they are foolish. But different modes are acting in different ways, the different types. When they understand, they become wise. Right? Let's move forward. There's two more statements. There are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection. That's what, there are some so-called spiritual organizations in India, at least. They say, Yatomat Tatopat. Whatever you follow, no problem. You eat whatever you want, you'll finally go back to the final destination. Where you go, you don't know which hell you will go. But these foolish guides are not acting according to the direction of the scripture. They are manufacturing ways and misleading people in general. Right? There's so many so-called spiritual organizations nowadays. They're all trying to, no basis of any scriptures, just concoction. There's one more famous so-called guru. He's telling, I have never read Bhagavad Gita, but now I speak based on Bhagavad Gita. See, this foolishness is going on, and people are accepting him as, guru. Okay, like this, people are getting misled like this, misguided like this. Whereas Prabhupada strictly spoke on Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, scriptures. He never deviated 1 inch from scriptural directions. That is the point. So people should understand that what they are following, because sometimes people want to get cheated. So there are many cheaters in the market. I want something cheap because I want to enjoy. I will I'll get a person whom I'm looking for. Because Paramatma is there in heart of everybody. You want something cheap, and you also will get a cheap person accordingly to follow to be following that person. Like Prabhupada says, if you want to purchase diamond, you will not go to a Kirana shop. 5 kilo diamond. So diamond is so cheap that you'll get 5 kilos in Kirana shop. Not possible. Diamond is available, is one piece of diamond will be lakhs, crores. To go to a jewelry shop, to a specific jewelry shop, that much common sense you should have. So spiritual perfection, spiritual understanding is not that you can do anything and everything and you will be, I am advancing spiritually. That is foolish. So from this chapter, you'll come to know what all big scams are going on, big cheating is going on in the name of religion also. Anything you can eat, anything you can drink. There is recently I was hearing somebody was telling there's something known as wine yoga. You're doing yoga with every asana. You have to drink one cup of wine. Aha, what is yoga it is? It is called wine yoga. No mention of this yoga at all in any scripture. Like this, people have come up with so many innovations and inventions. They want to drink. Doing yoga also they want to drink. Just see. Krishna says yoga means you have to go to forest where you not even get water to drink. They are having big wine bottle next to them and drinking nicely and doing yoga. Just see. This is what is going on in the name of yoga. So like this, people are all getting cheated and misled. You'll come to know actually what is happening around us. So many people. There is one yogi from Bangalore who has gone to a different island. Nobody knows where he has gone. Right? All of you may be guessing who is he, right? He is simply giving telecast from that island. I made my own country, everybody come here. He is calling everybody. And people are getting cheated also. Anyway, cheaters the people who want to get cheated are getting like this, cheater gurus. Okay. So with this, I will close today. Any questions, any clarifications, or any comments? I can take a few questions now. Okay, everybody looks like they are fully, convinced. And no questions. One time our senior devotee told us one nice thing after the class. If no questions come, there are two perspectives. One is they are so intelligent, they understood everything nicely, perfectly. Second perspective is your class was so bad that nothing went into their heads. So no point of asking any question. So I will leave the decision to you. What you want to do?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
No,
Okay,
Prabhuji, other than this vegetarian and non-vegetarian thing, any other illustration on this food thing? That three modes of nature, how it affects the three types of foods or some other types of food?
There's a nice statement by one of our acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur. He says, Nana yoni brahmana kare, kadarya bhakshana kare. Bengali. Okay. Nana yoni brahmana kare, kadarya bhakshana, nana yoni brahmana fire, kadarya bhakshana kare. Means we are going through different species of life, nana yoni brahmana. And we are eating abominable foodstuff in every species of life. Prabhupada gives a nice humorous story. And during Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj's time, he established what is known as Gaudiya Math. So in India, Maharaj established 64 Gaudiya Maths in 1920s, 1930s. There was one matha during that time in Burma also. Burma was, I think, part of India that time before independence. So once the disciples of Siddhanta Maharaj had gone to Burma for preaching and all. So they have a very special practice there. What they do, any animal dies. Any animal. You don't mention it is mosquito to dog or cat or bird or whatever. Any animal dies, any insect dies, they have a big drum. They're going to put that animal in that. Okay, or if it doesn't die, they will kill it and then put it in the drum. Okay, so like this, what happens over a period of time, say 1 month, so many animals are dead and the body is decomposing. And once the body is decomposing, there's some liquid which comes out, right? Some sort of a chemical reaction happens, the body comes, the liquid comes out. So they are so fond of this liquid, they have a festival to see that it is all drunk like a beverage. So this is called a nafi. Okay, this is the type of food they enjoy. So when devotees, Gaudiya Math devotees went there and they were doing nice puris in ghee. So they're telling, what is bad smell? Oh, ghee ka smell, they cannot able to tolerate. Because Prabhupada says they're accustomed to eating this nafi, drinking nafi, the nasty food. So what they will enjoy? Ghee food. Like, Prabhupada says in hog is accustomed to eat stool. If you give him halwa, nice halwa, like what halwa you're giving? I'm getting fresh halwa. Hot halwa. What you're giving this halwa? It will think. So like that, the types of food which living entities have, is varieties are there. Krishna is only giving a spectrum. Indication. He's just giving an indication. There's a wide spectrum of varieties of food which the living entities eat. Prabhupada says there are some in jungles of Africa there are gorillas which eat very hard foods which are like stones. And there are birds like vultures who prey on dead bodies. They're fighting. When there's dead body seen, the two vultures come, they fight very fiercely. But that one vulture wants to eat everything, the whole dead body. So like that, every species of life has a different varieties of food. That is how the whole creation has been made. Krishna just indicating in this next 2-3 verses, we'll see 8 to 10 verses, that there's a wide spectrum of food habits in different living entities, but every living entity, based on the body it has got, Krishna has allotted a type of a food for the living entity. But for human being, if it doesn't discriminate with what type of food I am supposed to eat, simply eats anything and everything like animals, then his becoming a human is of no use. That's what Krishna wants to say in Bhagavad Gita. You're supposed to eat a specific type of food as a human being. Specific type of food in a specific way. You're supposed to offer the food and eat prasadam. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, yome bhaktya prayachati. If you don't do this, then you are, not following what you're supposed to do in human form. That's the point. So, with regard to your question, yes, of course, there are many varieties of entities with different types of food habits each entity is having, but all that is allotted to them as per their body. But in the human form of life, what type of food we are supposed to have, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita in a very brief manner. More details are there in Bhagavatam with regard to the different types of food we can have. But it is, Krishna, whatever is indicated in Gita, it's something is explained further in Bhagavatam, basically. But simply not following this and trying to eat anything and everything is going to degrade us to animal form of life. That's what we have to understand from these descriptions. Hope I'm clear.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Any other question? Clarification? Okay. Fine. So we will close now, and then we'll continue our discussions coming week. We have more interesting things to discuss. Next week will be completely on food, right? What type of food, what type of different things, very interesting for all ladies, right? When you cook, how you have to cook, what you have to cook, Krishna explains very nicely. So we'll close now. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare